Hello everyone, Hermit here, and welcome back to the Tabletop Solo. As we gear up for the new year, I thought it'd be fun to explore what lies ahead through some tarot card readings. Well, not exactly. We're diving into something even more fun, at least in my opinion. Today I'll guide you through using tarot cards as a captivating alternative to dice oracles and GM emulators for your solo play adventures. Now, before I get too ahead of myself, let's take a quick trip back in time. Tarot cards originated in 15th century Italy. They served as the predecessors to the playing cards we know today, but it wasn't until the late 1700s, when French fortune tellers adopted them for divination, that their mystical journey truly began. Even in modern times, fortune tellers utilize the card's ambiguous symbolism to ply their trade. And it's precisely this enigmatic symbolism that we can harness for our solo tabletop role-playing games. In a previous video, I touched on GM Emulators, those handy D100 tables for straightforward yes or no answers. While they're easy to grasp, they do have limitations when you want to explore questions beyond that binary. Enter tarot cards. With no fixed definitions, they offer a rich tapestry of meanings, allowing you to interpret and shape your solo adventures. There's quite a few ways you can apply these cards to your games, but rather than list some examples, I thought it'd be more fun to show you how I incorporate them into my play. So, without further ado, take it away, Unscripted Hermit. Thank you, Scripted Hermit, for giving me time to change into my fortune teller robes and to grab my deck of tarot cards. I got this one from a New Age store near where I live. It was like $10. So yeah, if you got one of those Wicca-Woo stores, if you got a bookstore nearby, you can order them online, or you can use an online version for free. Basically anything that lets you just randomly select a card. So this has been shuffled, all mixed up, so there's a high chance that whatever we get will be upside down. Any tarot aficionados knowing that an upside down card that could have a different meaning. Mainly what I use tarot cards for in solo play and in group play is to define things about the world in a more nuanced way than just a yes or no table for an oracle or for a GM emulator. So I think we're going to start off with zooming out. So when I zoom out, I'm going to be defining the larger parts of a campaign setting, a world, stuff like that. So I think we're going to do a creation myth for my world of threads, my solo D&D game I've been running. If you're interested in watching that, I'll link it to you. So we will do a creation myth. So we will draw the Queen of Swords. It is reversed for you guys, but it is in the correct orientation for myself, so I'm just going to go from what I see. So the card meaning in itself could be something like a widow or a divorcee. And the sword kind of signifies action, so it's a very contemplative card, putting thoughts into action. So we have to think about what that can mean for what question we wanted for a creation myth. So my very base reading of this, I think that all life, the world in this setting, originated from one goddess, and she sat alone contemplating, and she thought about what it would be like to have something to care for. And rather than just thinking about it, she puts her thoughts into action and she creates a world to care for. So our big all-encompassing deity in our setting is a goddess that wanted to create something to care for. Now that we have a creation myth, I think we should go with like a big historical event that happened. So we'll use another card and we'll kind of divine what that means. So draw another. The Queen of Pentacles, so that is in the normal orientation for me. So So basically, the card is generous, caring, nurturing, good business sense, practical, comforting, welcoming. It has a queen holding a gold coin, so I think this is going to be a sign of like an economic boom. Like maybe some resources were discovered and it led to a sort of revolution. I don't know if it's quite industrial yet, but I think we're kind of moving out of totally agricultural. I think this is kind of when merchants and the merchant guild kind of rose to prominence. I like that. This Queen of Pentacles card represents when the merchant guild rose to prominence. And where that fits in the timeline, I don't know. I do apologize for how blurry the camera is. Very cheap webcam. But yeah, I don't know when in the timeline this is, but it is one of the events of our setting. So I think with that, we will move on to what I like to call zooming in. That's focusing more on the smaller details. So we'll focus on perhaps a dungeon. So as you can see, I got our dear friend Bertram at the bottom. If you're not familiar with him, he's one of the characters from Threads. And I think I'm going to use this opportunity to kind of expand on his backstory a little bit. So I think that Bertram right now is sneaking through a dungeon. He got a tip-off that there is a treasure here. It's the dungeon of a local lord's castle. And he's going to try to sneak his way through the underbelly of it to see what he can find. So let's pull up our cards again. So I'm not going to really roll any dice for this because it's going to be kind of inconsequential. I'm just going to assume that he does what he needs to do, dice aside. So I'm going to just say that Bertram makes a perception roll to just kind of get the vibe of what's going on here. So we'll draw death. Death in the normal position for me. So death doesn't have to be a bad thing in these readings. It could just mean the end of something, end of a cycle, the start of something else. But I think for this one, I think that Bertram, he finds himself in the torture chambers of this dungeon. And I think that this local lord, he had a reputation of being a very kind man. And just Bertram seeing all of these tools of torture around kind of opened his eyes a bit, and he feels a little less guilty about stealing from him. So he's going to have to be quiet as he approaches that door up in the background, because he doesn't want to be tortured to death. So I think that door is going to be locked, and he's going to try to pick it. So what happens when he picks the lock? So it's upside down for me. So that is the 9 of Swords in the reverse position for me, but in the upright position for you guys. Sorry if that's a bit confusing, but that's just how I'm going with it for this one. So this card can represent anxiety. It can represent worry and obsession, but it is in the reverse position for me, so it can represent recovery, letting go, peace of mind, acceptance, that type of thing. I think this drawing this card then, it represents Bertram kind of steeling himself and just accepting whatever is on the other side of the door. So we haven't even opened the door yet. But I think that little moments like this could help flesh out a character, because he's a nervous little being, and we have to be here for him. So Bertram, he's going to open the door, and it is the 3 of Swords in the correct position. This card depicts a fundamentally deeply sorrowful experience. So I think that what he finds in there is connected to that. I think he found where the lord of this castle put all of the people that he unfortunately tortured to death. This is kind of a mass grave, for lack of a better word. And Bertram, being not religious but respectful enough, says a prayer to all of the people that are in there. And he makes his way through. And as he pushes past all of the bodies and that, he gets to another door, and I think this will be where the treasure is, for lack of a better word. I'm not trying to make a whole dungeon crawl for this, just showing you guys an example. So we'll draw for the treasure to see what it is. So I didn't shuffle too well, but this is the Two of Swords. So it depicts someone holding two swords. They're blindfolded. It depicts meditation, not action. So I think the treasure that he finds, it's not something that he can use right away. So I think what he finds is information. So I think it's a ledger that it documents all of these people, their names, what information they got, the torturers got out of them. And so I think that Bertram, in the right hands, he could make a lot of money with this ledger. So I think he steals the ledger and he makes his way into the night. So whether this comes up in the game or not, I don't know. But it's cool to get like a little bit of background about him. And we just determine this through just random card draws. A lot more flavorful than just a yes or no. And a lot more engaging, in my opinion, too. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun establishing the background and fleshing out Bertram a bit more. And I mainly just use these cards as, a Oracle or a GM emulator. They're so versatile, you can apply them in so many different ways in your solo play. Or it doesn't even have to be strictly solo play. You can easily use this for group play as well. But if you enjoyed this content, consider giving me a like and a subscribe. We recently hit 200, so that's really awesome. Consider following me on X. I post a lot of fun stuff. I will warn you, though, it's occasionally a Dinotopia account, so you might have to see cool art of dinosaurs. I apologize. And as always, may all your adventures, whether shared or solo, be epic.